Please rise. Municipal Court for the City of Stoughton is now in session. The Honorable Matthew T. Rothe presiding.
Please be seated. Please silence all cell phones, remove all hats, and conversations shall cease. Good afternoon. We'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothe. I'm the Stoughton Municipal Judge. This covers the City of Stoughton, towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. I'd like to go through some of the procedures we follow in our courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you on the podium as you enter the courtroom. We take people on a first-come, first-served basis. When your case is called, please come forward. Tonight is plea night. I'll ask you to make pleas of guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter no contest or guilty plea, I'll review the citation, make sure that you have a factual basis, and if there's enough of a factual basis, I'll find you guilty. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent hearing. Let me explain. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident, you get a ticket for that traffic accident. If you enter a no contest plea, that person cannot use that no contest plea against you if they sue you later for damages. In both a no contest and a guilty plea, I'll impose an appropriate forfeiture. Forfeitures range from $20 to $10,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates that we add cost to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture would result in a total cost to you of $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay for the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know. If you need additional time, we'll arrange a payment plan. If you do not pay, I have limited options to collect. I may suspend your driver's license for a year, intercept your tax refund, or submit your citation to the State Collections Fund for the Department of Revenue. I'd rather not do that. If you cannot pay within 30 days, just let me know, and I'd rather set up a payment plan. If you need a further payments after today, and you can't, say you think you're going to be able to pay a citation within 30 days, and it turns out that you can't, please call my clerk and number on the citation. That way you'll be able to call and set up another court date with me where we can talk about a payment plan. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll set the matter over for the next court session for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. That date is? Thank you. February 8, 2017. That's the time when you and the city attorney will meet to see if we're able to resolve the case. Those of you facing traffic offenses should understand you lose demerit points upon conviction of most such offenses. If you lose 12 or more points within a year period, you lose your license to drive in Wisconsin. You will also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before you enter a plea. You have a right to ask for a continuance. This means that your case can be set over for another time, which will allow you to either investigate it or consult with a lawyer. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender. However, you may hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you charged with operating a motor vehicle while under the influence are entitled to request a jury fee at the circuit court upon payment of proper fees. All their cases will be handled in this court with the right to appeal my ruling to the circuit court. When you come up and I'll ask you your name and I'll ask you some questions, make sure that you answer my questions because we're recording this hearing tonight. If you want to appeal my decision, we have to have a clear record, and the way to doing that is to speak into the microphone so we have a record. With that concludes my opening comments. At this time, I will start calling cases on a first-come, first-served basis. First one will be Susan Thomas. Okay, Ms. Thomas, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have 3 citations. The first one is for operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. The second citation is operating with a controlled substance. And the third citation is possession of THC. Was that your understanding as well? Did you get these 3 citations? Okay. Let me review the possession of THC first. The possession of THC, that carries a penalty of $439. What I do with these THCs, if you're able to complete an alcohol or drug assessment, basically, I'll give you some, I have a, oh. I'm sorry, so you've already posted bond on the, you've already paid the $439 for the marijuana, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So the penalty on the marijuana is $439. In addition, if you want to attend assessment or counseling for the marijuana, I consider that, and I might reduce your forfeiture action. Usually, if you complete an assessment, I reduce it from $439 to $124. You were not aware of that, I take it?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, okay. All right, let me review the other citations. The first one is operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. That citation carries a penalty of $861 and 6 points. Do you understand what operating while under the influence is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In addition to the 861 and 6 points, your driver's license can be revoked on an OWI from 6 to 9 months. You also have to attend an alcohol and drug assessment class. In addition to that, if your blood alcohol content was a 0.15 or higher, there is an interlock ignition device that would be required to add to your car. However, I'll note that this is a controlled substance. On the controlled substance, the revocation period is 6 months, and there's obviously no IID requirements because you can't really measure. That's designed to measure alcohol, not THC. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I've told you about, you're also been cited for operating with a controlled substance. That carries the same penalties as the OWI. It's the $861, 6-month driver's license revocation, alcohol and drug assessment, and 6 points. However, with that, you can be found guilty on both, but I can only impose penalties on one of those 2 citations. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the court?
No, Your Honor.
All right. At this time, I'll take your plea. The 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. Accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of all 3 citations: possession, THC, OWI, and controlled substance. I'll make a note that there was no alcohol detected, so there was no IID required since you're below a 1.5. I also will make the finding that since there's no alcohol, your driver's license will be revoked for the minimum of 6 months. I do find the $861 to be an appropriate forfeiture. It's my understanding you've already paid that, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I will find that you'll owe an additional $62.82. I'll make that finding that there was a blood test, and that what happens on our blood test is that the $62.82 is the cost of withdrawing blood, and then I'll find that you owe the court that as well. The $62.82, I'll grant you 30 days to pay. Will that be sufficient?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Thomas, if you want to, I have some paperwork you fill out if you want to approach the bench. Okay. This is an assessment. Basically what that means is you have to call this number within 72 hours. And then if you want to review that, sign both of those, and you can keep one and I'll keep one. Correct. And then dated today is the January 25th. Okay. sure that you call this number within 72 hours to set up the assessment and start the driver safety plan. Okay, we'll get you the rest of the paperwork. I'm giving you a document. It's called OWI Assessment, Occupational License Information. I'll give you the judgment of conviction in just a second. What did you? Okay. Here's the possession of THC and the alcohol. 6282 balance, and no penalties on that one. You can take that downstairs and pay the 6282. Thank you. Next would be Miodrag Petrovic. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Do I have your correct address on McConnell Road in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Petrovic, you've been cited for speeding, exceeding the speed limit zones from 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. On these, the range on the penalties on these speeding tickets are $30 to $300. I'll note that you're already at $30. You're already at the minimum cost for these. $30 plus cost equals the $98.80, which appeared on your citation. There's always a range on all these, and I always explain the range on everything. What you're facing, though, tonight is $98.80 and 4 points. Do you understand what speeding is?
Yes.
You understand that the 4 points and $98.80, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me also advise you that if you were to enter a not guilty plea, the prosecutor would give you a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. The prosecutor, she's given me permission to offer the same at the initial appearances. So what I'd be willing to do today, if you enter a no contest plea, I would reduce this from 11 to 15 over to 9 over the limit, which would result in 3 demerit points rather than 4. The forfeiture would stay the same at $98.80. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You have any questions for the court?
Well, I have a question because when cop pulled me over.
If it's regarding the stop, I can't really answer
Okay.
it. So
Okay.
if the prosecutor were here, we could talk about it, but since the prosecutor's not here, it'd be unfair. I would be receiving information if you decided to challenge the case then. So at this time, we'll take the plea. The 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
I'm not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. I'll give you the form in just a minute.
Sure.
The pretrial conference will be held downstairs in a conference room, and they'll say pretrial conference on it. I will give you the form for that, but I always advise people go take a look at their room before before you leave. That way you're familiar with it. The pretrial conference is a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. And finally, please show up, because if you don't show up, the city attorney will tell me you didn't appear. I'll find you in default, and I'll find you guilty, and I'll impose those forfeitures then.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions for the court now?
No.
All right. If you want to step forward, I'll give you the pretrial conference notice, and that will take care of it for this evening. 4:45 on February 8th. All right. Thank you. Tyler Williams. Mr. Williams, do I have your correct address on Abbey Drive in Evansville?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You've been cited for possession of THC. This citation carries a penalty of $439. Now, I'm implementing a new program for these. If you attend either an assessment or guidance counseling for the possession of THC, what I do for these is I still find you guilty, but upon completion of the counseling or assessment, what I do is I reduce this forfeiture to $124. Okay. Do you understand the guidance and the alcohol assessment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand what possession of THC is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understand that you're facing a forfeiture of $439?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're aware, the forfeiture on this could range as low as $124 or as high as $1,000. So you're kind of in the middle. Understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, now, any questions for the court?
No, sir.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. The plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me read the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea.
All right.
Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Are you interested in attending marijuana counseling or an alcohol and drug assessment?
No, sir.
You don't want to?
No.
Okay, you'd rather pay the fine of $439. Okay. How much time would you need to pay for the $439?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll give you 90 days. If you need additional time for that at the end of the 90 days, there'll be a number on the disposition sheet, the yellow document I'm going to be giving you. Call that number and arrange where you can schedule more time. Otherwise, the only thing I can do is basically intercept your tax refunds or submit your fine to state collections, and I'd rather not do that.
All right.
Okay? Any questions for the court?
No, sir.
If you want to step forward, I can give you this document, and that'll take care of it for this evening then. All right, thank you. Andres Lagunes. Did I say your name incorrectly?
Yeah.
Well, how do you say it?
Andres?
Andres Lagunes?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Lagunes, do I have your correct address on Pheasant Lane in Middleton?
Yeah.
All right. You've also been cited for possession of THC. This citation carries a penalty of $439. The range on these is $124 to about $1,000. However, if you complete either an alcohol and drug assessment or guidance counseling on a THC, I will reduce the forfeiture to $124. Do you understand the possession of THC? Is that a yes?
Yeah.
All right. You understand the fine amount is $439?
Yeah.
But however, you complete either counseling or an assessment, I'll reduce the forfeiture to $124?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for the court?
Nope.
Now's the time I take your plea. The plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll set this matter for pretrial conference with the city attorney on February 8th. I'll give you a document that indicates a pretrial conference date and time in just a minute. The pretrial conference is 2 weeks from tonight. It'll be downstairs in a conference room marked Pretrial Conferences. What I always advise people do, go take a look at the room so you know where to show up next time. Pretrial conference is a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. And finally, please appear at the pretrial conference, because if you tell if the city attorney tells me you didn't appear, I'll find you in default, I'll find you guilty and impose those forfeitures then. Any questions?
Nope.
If you want to step forward, I'll give you the pretrial conference notice. It's February 8th at 4:45, and that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you. Michelle Curtis. Mr. Curtis, do I have your correct address on Monroe Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You've been cited for non-registration of auto. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 demerit points issued your license. Do you understand what non-registration of auto is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand that you're facing a forfeiture of basically, check the bond on this, you're at the minimum of $30 plus costs. Just want to make sure that there's a range. part of my duty is to inform you what the forfeiture range on all these citations would be. 34104. 0 to $200. So the bond suggested bond amount is $30 plus cost, which is $98.80. Any questions for the court?
No, sir.
Have you updated your registration?
Yes, sir. I had thought that it was already updated. I updated the day after I received the citation.
Okay. If you want to bring that forward, I'll take a look at it then.
I didn't bring it in with
Okay.
me.
Here's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea.
Okay.
We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference with the city attorney on February 8th. Might be a good idea to bring the updated proof of updated registration on that date. And I'm
If
sure
it
the
would
city.
be more convenient, sir, I could go get it and bring it
Why don't-
at the end of the
Why don't
line.
we do that on the February 8th? I feel more comfortable with that, so.
Okay.
Again, bring that document. The pretrial conference will be downstairs in a conference room marked Pretrial Conferences. And then make sure that you appear, because if you don't, the city attorney will tell me you didn't appear, and I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty then. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
It's February 8th at 4:30. If you want to step forward, I can give you this notice then. All right. That'll take care of it this evening. That's all right. Thank you. Rebecca Nicole Baumgartner. Ms. Baumgartner, do I have your correct address and Hillside Court in Evansville?
Yes, sir.
All right. You've received a citation for operating after suspension. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. The range on this citation is as follows. It is $50 to $200. So you're at $50 plus cost. You're at the minimum for $124. Do you know what operating after suspension is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand that this is 3 points and 124?
Yes.
Any questions for the court?
No.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Have you updated your, do you have a valid license now?
Yes, I have a valid license, and it was suspended due to no proof of insurance. I didn't pay that ticket. I have
Hang on,
both.
hang on. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea on your behalf.
Okay.
What happens is that I don't have the authority to amend this from the bench.
Okay.
But if you bring those documents into the pretrial conference, I'm sure the city attorney would appreciate that and take a look at it then.
Okay.
So I'll enter a not guilty plea, come back in 2 weeks, but bring those documents with you. Pretrial conference is downstairs in the room marked Pretrial Conferences. Make sure that you appear and give those documents a chance to tell your side of the story as well.
Okay.
So, any questions for the court?
No.
Or if you want to step forward, I can give you that pretrial conference notice. It is February 8th at 4:30, and with that, that'll take care of it for this evening then.
Okay,
Thank you. Eric Olson. Okay, Mr. Olson, do I have your correct address on, Geeler Drive in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number of citation, there's 4 citations in all. Let me kind of review these. The first one would be possession of drug paraphernalia. That citation carries a penalty of $187. And on these drug paraphernalias, the fines are going to be, fine ranges between $50 and $1,000. So you're at $100 plus cost for the possession of drug paraphernalia. Do you understand what drug paraphernalia is?
Yes, sir.
All right. Second citation is non-registration of auto. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 points issued your license. Forfeiture on this is $0 to $200. You understand what non-registration of an auto is?
Yes, sir.
All right. The other 2 citations, one is for operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. The other is actually operating while under the influence of an intoxicant. The other is, hang on a second. I think it's operating after revocation. Let me find that.
Yes, sir.
Yep, it's operating while revoked, it's a forfeiture. This citation carries a penalty of 3 demerit points issued your driver's license and $124. The forfeiture range on operating while revoked as a forfeiture is as follows. It is $0 to $2,500 on the forfeiture range on that. Do you understand what operating while revoked is?
Yes, sir.
All right. And the last citation is operating while under the influence. This citation carries a penalty, contains a number of penalties. Let me go through them one at a time. The operating while under the influence carries a penalty of $861. Basically, the fine is $150 to $300, but they tack on a $355 assessment charge as well. That's how they get to the $861. It's also 6 points issued your driver's license, and the driver's license revocation on this is 6 to 9 months. However, if there is a refusal, I don't see a companion ticket, so I don't know if there was a refusal or not. If there's a refusal, the penalty is a 12-month driver's license revocation. Also on the refusal, there's a penalty for if you refused or have a blood alcohol content of 1.5 or higher, the penalty for revocation, you have to have an interlock ignition device installed on your vehicle. You know what that is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the surcharge for an IID is also $50, which I charge. If you have to have an IID installed on your vehicle or vehicles, you have to get that installed through a private company, and it will also cost you, but those costs are outside of this courtroom. Okay. And if there was a blood draw, I have to charge $62.82 as well. So let me review. 861, 6 points, 6 to 9 month revocation for the OWI, but that's increased to 12 months if there's a refusal. 12 months is the maximum you can be revoked for an OWI first offense. There is also an IID if you're 1.5 or higher, or a refusal, and that IID is imposed for 12 months on any vehicles registered in your name, and there's a $50 surcharge for an IID. Okay, that was a lot. Any questions regarding the OWI penalties?
On the refusal, it was just an admission. It wasn't a refusal. I was not combative.
Okay. I don't know any of the facts. This is the first time I've seen that, so I don't know. Okay, it was classified as a refusal then for that. So so we understand that as well. Now there's 4 citations in front of the court. You understand all 4 citations?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the court?
No.
All right. At this time, I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty to the OWI, to the
If you're going to enter,
revocation.
if you're going to enter a 1, I would just prefer you enter a not guilty to all 4 of them.
Then not guilty.
Okay. That's what we'll do. We'll enter a not guilty plea to all 4 citations. We'll set this matter for pretrial conference on February 8th. And the reason why is that if you're entered for, it makes it easier for the prosecutor and for the court. It gives the prosecutor more flexibility on what cases that she can look at then. We'll schedule the matter for pretrial conference. Again, you've heard this, you've been in the courtroom for a little bit. I've been through a few of these, but I have to explain it to every person. Pretrial conferences are held downstairs in the conference room marked pretrial conference. Make sure that you're here, because if you don't, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty of all 4 citations. And again, it's a chance to tell your side of the story. So bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case then. So what I'm going to do next is I'll give the documents to the bailiff. The bailiff will hand them to you. And with no further questions, I will take care of it for this evening then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Olson. Next is Brian Roger Likeness. Which one? Likeness, okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Likeness, so I have your correct address on Jefferson Street in Oregon?
Yeah.
All right. A couple citations. First is hit and run unattended vehicle. This citation carries a penalty $187 and 6 points issued your license. Do you understand what hit and run unattended vehicle is? Okay. And you're aware of the forfeiture and points as well?
Yeah.
Let me review the forfeiture range on the hit and run. It's $0 to $200. The second citation is for Driving too fast for conditions. This citation carries a penalty of $136.60 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. The forfeiture range on these, on the driving too fast for conditions are as follows. Pardon me. The wrong statute. $40 to $300. So $136.60 is 60 plus costs. You understand what driving too fast for conditions
Yep.
is? All right. Any questions to the court?
Nope.
Now's the time I take your plea options. Your plea, no contest, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. Well, not guilty plea will set these for a pretrial conference with the city attorney 2 weeks from tonight on February 8th.
Yeah.
I'll have the bailiff give you the notice. Make sure that you know where the room is downstairs. Make sure that you bring whatever documents you might have. And any questions, just let us know. And once you receive the pretrial conference notice, I will take care of it for this evening.
Yep.
Then. Thank you. Okay, Trevor Helland. Mr. Helland, do I have your correct address on Lundy Circle in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You have 3 citations. The first is hit and run property adjacent to highway. This citation carries a penalty of $187 and 0 points issued to your license. Do you understand what hit and run adjacent to property adjacent to highway is?
Yes.
All right. Let me check the bond amount or the forfeiture range on this. Forfeiture range on this is $0 to $200. You're at $100 plus costs. Second citation is failure to file an accident report. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points issued to your license. Do you understand what failure to file an accident report is?
Yes.
All right. That citation range is $40 to $200. Again, you're kind of in the middle, $100 plus cost. And the third citation is failure to keep vehicle under control. That citation carries a penalty of 4 points and $136.60. And the forfeiture range on that is $40 to $300. Do you understand all these citations?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
17.
Okay. You realize you're under a probationary license, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you received any prior citations, the point totals on the failure to keep vehicle under control would double. And that would be the only one. If you haven't received any additional citations, what would happen? So that would double from 4 to 8. If this is your first one, then any subsequent citation would double in points. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the court?
No.
Now's the time I take your plea options. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. Well, not guilty plea will schedule this matter for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. I'll give you the notice in just a minute. It's February 8th. Pretrial conference is a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case. I always advise people to go take a look at the room before you leave the building. It's downstairs in the conference room marked with a temporary sign that says pretrial conferences. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, the city attorney will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty then. Any questions? With no questions of the court, the bailiff will give you the pretrial conference notice, and that'll take care of it this evening. Thank you. Cody Merks. Did I say your name right?
Yeah,
Okay. Mr. Merks, do I have your correct address on Highway 14 in Brooklyn?
yeah, but that's not where the ticket was sent.
Where was the ticket sent?
I have no idea. Somebody randomly put it in my mailbox, so
Okay, so 240 US Highway 14, Brooklyn, Wisconsin, 53521. So we should send all notices to that
Yeah.
address, okay. You've been cited for disorderly conduct. Citation carries a penalty of $124. Forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. You're at 50 plus cost 124. You're at the minimum. You understand what disorderly conduct is?
Yeah,
All right, you understand the forfeiture as well?
yeah,
Now is the time I take the plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
not guilty.
Not guilty plea will schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 8th.
I'm actually out of town till the 10th. Can we make it after the 10th?
The 22nd?
That's perfect.
Okay, we'll make it for February 22nd. I'll give you notice in just a minute. Pretrial conferences downstairs on the 22nd, the conference room. We'll say pretrial conferences on it. Make sure that you bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. It's your chance to tell your side of the story. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, the city attorney will tell me you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have the bailiff give you the pretrial conference notice, and once you receive that, that'll take care of it for this evening.
Okay.
Thank you. Madeline Marie Claire Menace. Ms. Menace, do I have your correct address on Van Buren Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
Okay. You've been cited for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 miles an hour limit. That citation carries a penalty of 4 points and $98.80. Forfeiture range on that is $30 to $300. In addition, what I do for the speeding, I think I described it once tonight, but I'll explain it again. If you're under a not guilty plea, the prosecutor will automatically issue a 10-mile leeway. Prosecutors give me authority to do that as well. So what I would do is I would reduce that from 11 to 15 over the limit to 9 over the limit, which would result in 3 rather than 4 points. You understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes, sir.
Understand that this is for 11 to 15 over?
Yes, sir.
Understand that I give you a 10-mile leeway, which will result in 3 points and $98.80.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for the court?
Nope.
Now is the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. Well, the not guilty plea will schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 8th. I'll give you the notice in just a minute. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, city attorney will tell me that you didn't appear, and I'll find you default and guilty, impose those forfeitures. Make sure that you go. I always advise people to go take a look at the room before they go. And again, the speeding is a chance to tell your side of the story, the pretrial conferences. So bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case then. I'll give the notice to the my clerk will give the notice to the bailiff. Once you receive the notice, I will take care of it this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jordan Daniel Jones. Mr. Jones, I have your correct address in Stoughton Avenue in Stoughton.
Yes.
All right. You have 3 citations. The first is operating after suspension. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points issued your license. I'm sorry, 3 points issued your license. You understand it's 3?
Yes.
You understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes.
All right. Forfeiture range on this would be $50 to $200. $50 plus cost is $124. You're at the minimum. The other 2 citations. I'm sorry. The second one is possession of drug paraphernalia. That citation carries a penalty of $187. And the forfeiture on this is $100 or $50 plus costs to $1,000. You're at $100 plus cost for that. Do you understand what a possession of drug paraphernalia is?
Yes.
All right. Third citation is for operating while under the influence, either of an intoxicant. That citation carries the following penalties: $861, 6 points, a 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation, and an alcohol and drug assessment class. If there was a refusal, the penalty for that would be a 12-month revocation. In addition, if there was a refusal or your blood alcohol content was 1.5 or higher, I have to order an interlock ignition device be installed and all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. I also have to surcharge you $50 for that IID. Do you understand what an IID is?
No.
Okay. An IID basically.
Oh, yeah, that interlock. Yes, I know what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
I know what
Yeah,
you're
just
talking about. Yes.
every time you start the car, you have to blow into that device. Okay, and then if there was a blood draw, I must also surcharge you $62.82. So, to review, $861 fine,
Yep.
6 points, 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation, AODA requirements, alcohol and drug assessment, 12 months if there's a refusal, IID for 12 months if you're 1-5 or a refusal, surcharge for the IID of $50, and if there was a blood draw, a surcharge of $62.82. Okay. Again, the range on the OWI would be $150 to $300,
Yeah.
but they had that assessment cost of $355, and there's also a ride-sharing program of $75 as well. Okay. Any questions for the court?
No.
All right. Now is the time I take your plea. Your plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. With a not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on.
So I did some revocation.
Okay. It was registered as a refusal, and there's been if you don't respond to a 30-day notice, what happens is that the refusal's been submitted, so you've already been revoked
Really?
for a year. So,
All right.
so we'll still schedule this for not guilty plea, a pretrial conference on February 8th. Be downstairs in the conference room marked pretrial conferences. Bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case.
That's for all three of these then?
All three of these, correct. So, and then make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you in default,
Yep.
and I'll find you guilty. Okay? With no questions, I'll have the bailiff give you the pretrial conference notice, and once you receive that, that will take care of it for this evening. then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that's just right downstairs. All right, thank you.
Susan Starzinski. Detective Hill, if you want to lower the microphone. Thank you. Mr. Starzinski, you have 3 citations. The first one, they're all for loud and unnecessary noise. The first citation carries a penalty of $124. Second citation also carries a penalty of $124.
Actually, no. That's first, second, third should be.
Right. The third should be $250, correct?
Second is 187.
Oh, I'm sorry. The forfeiture listed on your citations are incorrect. The first one was a 124 because there's an escalation clause in the ordinance. Second would be 187, and the third citation would be $250. So you're facing a total penalty of $561. Do you understand what what is loud and unnecessary noise is?
I do.
Okay. You understand the forfeitures as well?
I do.
Now's the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Well, not guilty plea will schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 8th. I'll note that I've been taking pleas. You've probably been here for 45 minutes, but I got to tell everybody the same warnings, basically. Pretrial conferences are held downstairs in a conference room marked pretrial conference. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty of all 3 citations. Also, it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case.
I have one question. I don't know, this sounds weird, but when do I countersue?
This is a civil court. As far as countersuing, if you have an action against somebody else or somebody else nearby in the premises, that would be in a circuit court for Dane County, either small claims or that. I don't hear
Okay.
countersuits or anything. My role is just to hear citations issued by the Stoughton Police or one of the township.
Can I switch it to that then?
What's that?
And so it's not a civil matter? So that I can countersue, or?
I can't, you're asking me kind of to give legal advice on a separate
know.
civil
Okay.
action. I can't really do that, so if you have any questions, you can always call the state bar. They will be able to refer your case then. here's what I would do, or what you could do, you can always call the city attorney and just say, you know, basically, I've got this scheduled for before 4 o'clock, but what happens if, could I either appear later or could we handle it over the phone? So,
Numbers on the back.
numbers on the back.
Oh, great,
All
thanks.
right, thank you. Bailey Kevin Estel? How do you say it?
Estel.
Okay, good. Mr. Estel, do I have your correct address on Van Buren Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. I've received a couple citations. One is for exceeding speed zones 25 to 29 miles over limit. That citation carries a penalty of 6 points and $174.40. Normally, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway for this. However, on these type of speeding citations, if you're 25 or more over in a 55 or 65, your driver's license can be suspended, I believe, for 15 days. So I would not be willing to, there are other circumstances I wouldn't necessarily give the 10-mile-an-hour leeway for that citation. The other citation is unreasonable imprudent speed. That citation carries a penalty of 4 demerit points and a fine of $136.60. Do you understand the nature of both these citations?
Imprudent speed, I'm not sure what that means.
Violation of 346.57. So, two, what I can do is I can read the statute to you. Reasonable and prudent. No person shall drive a vehicle at a speed greater than is reasonable and prudent under the conditions and having regard for the actual and potential hazards then existing. The speed of a vehicle shall be controlled so as may be necessary to avoid colliding with another object, person, vehicle, or other conveyance on or entering the highway in compliance with legal requirements and using due care. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Mr. Assel, how old are you?
18.
Okay. You also have a probationary license. So one of these citations carries 4 points and the other carries 6 points. One of these would automatically double. So
Okay.
what would happen that your license would be suspended then.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for the court?
No.
Now's the time I take your plea. Plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
I would advise entering a not guilty plea just to schedule this for a pretrial conference.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea. Schedule this matter for pretrial conference again on February 8th. It's pretrial conference, a chance to meet with the city attorney who's now seated to your right. Again, bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. Also, in addition to that, make sure that the room is downstairs, and then make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty then.
Yes.
Any questions for the court?
No.
I'll have the bailiff give you the document for pretrial conference. Once you receive that document, that'll take care of it this evening then.
Okay.
The 22nd, okay. Bradley Pellman. Mr. Pellman, do I have your correct address in Terrace Court in Cambridge?
Terrace Street, yeah.
Terrace Street, yeah, correct. That's. I'm sorry, I misspoke. You've been cited for exceeding the speed zone, 16 to 19 miles an hour over the limit. The citation carries a penalty of $124 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. However, I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway on these. What happens if you enter a no contest plea, the not guilty plea, the prosecutor would offer 10-mile-an-hour leeway as well. So I'm basically giving it to you right now. So the citation, if you enter a no contest or guilty plea, it would be to a 3-point citation or 9 miles an hour over the limit. The forfeiture would stay the same at $124. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. You understand what exceeding the speed limit is?
Yep.
Any questions for the court?
No.
Now is the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yeah.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty of 9 miles an hour over the limits, which would result in 3 points instead of 4. Forfeiture will be $124. Can you pay for that this evening, sir?
No, I need some time.
How much time do you need?
30 days.
I'll give you 30 days. I'll give you the notice with that. Make sure that you pay, because if you
Yeah.
don't, all I can do is suspend your driver's license or collect it.
Well,
through your
not that. I
taxes.
got my CDLs. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, exactly. So, okay, I will, I'll give you that notice in just a minute, once you receive that notice. Any further questions for the court? That'll take care of it for this evening then. Thank you. Oh, it is, okay. Okay. Next will be Tommy Brand. Mr. Brand, do I have your correct address on Danbury Court in DeForest?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for operating after suspension. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so the forfeiture range on this is, I believe it's $0 to $200. So you're at $50 plus cost. You're on kind of the low end for our ordinance schedule then. Any questions for the court?
Yeah, I got everything.
Okay.
I went the next day and got it done because
You
I
wanna-
didn't know my license was suspended.
Ms. Wilson, do you want to take a look at the documents? Okay.
This is your citation? Your Honor, he did reinstate his license the next Monday.
Okay. Mr. Brand, normally what we do on these is if you reinstate right away, you still were suspended. I can't dismiss this, but normally what would happen is that I would amend this with any objection to me, no driver's license on person.
No objection,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Normally what I'll do is I amend this to no driver's license on person. That means you forgot your wallet at home on the dresser. The fine would still be $124, but it'd be 0 points instead of 3. So you save 3 points on that. Or you can enter a not guilty plea and talk to the prosecutor.
Yeah, because
You want to enter a not guilty plea then?
this.
Okay, sure.
forfeiture is
Sure.
out.
You don't have to explain anything else to me then. So
Okay.
we'll enter a not guilty plea. We're already full for the 8th, so we'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 22nd.
Okay.
I'll give you that notice in just a minute. Ms. Wilson, if she's there, still might not remember you giving that document to her, so I would bring that document with you on the 22nd as well then.
All
So,
right.
okay. So what we can do is we'll schedule this for a pretrial conference. They're held in a conference room downstairs, so make sure that you go down there, take a look at it, that way you're familiar with it. Bring that document, whatever documents might help your case or any witnesses. And then make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, Ms. Wilson will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty then.
All right.
Any questions?
No.
That will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you, Mr. Brandt.
You're welcome. Thank you. You got to be at 5:30. Thank you.
Okay, Detective Hill, that's the last of my list. I don't know who is next.
Yeah, I didn't get registered when it came in.
Yeah, he didn't register either.
Okay, okay, it's not enough. Stop. So, all right, I'll take you first.
I'll take you first.
Name's Daryl, last name Goins, G-O-I-N-S.
Okay.
Look, he looks back.
Okay. Mr. Goins, do I have your correct address in Moe Circle in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. Been cited for speeding on a city highway, 20 to 24 miles an hour over the limit. That citation carried a penalty of $149.20 and 6 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yes.
All right. In addition, since you're 24 over instead of 25 over, that does fall in the category. I could give you a 10-mile leeway. I could reduce this to 19 miles an hour limit, which would result in 4 demerit points rather than 6. Fine would stay the same at 149.20. Okay. You understand that I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway?
Yep.
All right. Any questions for the court?
No, sir.
Now is the time I take your plea. The plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty, sir.
Okay, we'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 22nd. We ran out of time slots on the 8th.
Okay.
I'll give you the notice in just a minute. Bring whatever documents or witnesses might help your case.
Yep.
In addition, pretrial conference downstairs. Make sure that you show up, otherwise I'll find you default.
Yeah, that's where we were stuck at first, so.
Okay. All right. So what will happen is Detective Hill will give you the notice. With no further questions, I'll take care of that.
Nope, that'll do it, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Great, I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I'll take you next then, in the blue coat with the person in the blue hair. All right, it's the most distinguishing characteristic in the courtroom.
Right?
There he is.
Name, please?
Zach Arnold.
Mr. Arnold, do I have your correct address in South Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for violating the GDL restrictions as a passenger, first offense. Do you understand what violating GDL restrictions is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Penalty on this is $124. Let me take a look. It looks like it's 0 points. Let me verify that. Okay, this says 3 points, but that's for drivers, so I'd have to take a look at that, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen this in a while. So be $124. The forfeiture range on this is $0 to $200. I'd have to take a look at, and it looks like it'd be 0 points. That's what I would treat it as, 0 points for that. Okay, I understand it'd be 0 points and $124. Okay.
Yep.
Any questions for the court?
No.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 2 citations for this. The other citation is for unreasonable speed.
Nope. I just hit a bumper. Hit a bumper.
He just,
Mom.
he's asking there. Oh, yeah, right here, yeah.
Okay. The other, maybe it is. I'm sorry, Mr. Honor. Yeah, you're right, I do have it. I'm sorry, I do have it. It's, your second citation is failure to keep vehicle under control. This citation carries a penalty of $136.60 and 4 demerit points issued to your license. Forfeiture range on this is $40 to $300. You're at the $60 plus cost range.
All right.
You understand what failure to keep vehicle under control is?
Yes.
All right. In that, the 136.60 and 4 points. Any questions regarding this citation?
No.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah. With not guilty plea, we'll schedule the matter for a pretrial conference with the city attorney. Again, the February 8th is already filled. We'll take it on February 22nd. Again, that's the prosecutor to your right, either her or Miss. Will you be there, do you think?
I'll be there.
Okay, so Miss Wilson will be the prosecutor. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, she'll let me know, and then you'll be found guilty if you're in default. Do you have a probationary license? Are you under 19?
He is until Friday.
Okay. Yeah, so since these occurred, their second or subsequent citation would double in points, so just keep that in mind as well. So, all right, with that, with no further questions on the February 22nd, that will take care of it this evening then. Okay, sir, in the second row.
John Moody, JONMOODY.
And it was Moody?
Yes.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Moody, do I have your correct address in Virgin Lake Drive in Stoughton?
Correct.
You have received a citation for operating a motor vehicle without proof of insurance. Citation carries a penalty of $10. You understand the nature of the citation?
Yep.
All right. Any questions for the court?
Nope.
Now's the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. Did you update the insurance on your car?
I've had insurance. I just did not have proof.
Okay. Do you have proof with you?
Yes.
All right. Do you want to hand it to the prosecutor?
Do you have your citation with you?
I do not.
Okay.
Do you need the date of the citation?
I need the date and then the car.
I can print that out.
No. I can't verify that you insured your car without seeing the citation.
Print out a copy of the citation.
It's a 1996 Acura 4-door red.
That's, yep.
And citation occurred on Friday, February 2nd.
Yes, January.
Okay. No, the citation occurred, it looks like, on February 2nd.
Oh. 2016?
No,
No.
December.
Yeah, December 2nd.
Oh, it's cut off. He has proof of insurance. Your
Okay.
Honor.
Any the recommendation of the city?
Dismiss.
Okay. You're, on the motion of the city, the court will dismiss your citation.
Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
I can, if he wants a receipt, if you want to.
Do you want a receipt?
2 minutes.
Yeah. If you want to sit down, we'll give you that receipt in about 2 minutes then. Let's see. We'll take them front to back. Yeah. Name, please.
Mark Klitzman. KLITZMAN.
Do I have your correct address on Oak Lane Road in Brooklyn?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, Mr. Klitzman, you received 4 citations. The first citation was operating while revoked as a forfeiture action. The citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued to your license. Again, the penalty range on that, I believe, is $0 to $200. Actually, 0 to 25. Yeah, $0 to $2,500. You understand what operating while revoked is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand the 3 points and the forfeiture of $124?
Yes, sir.
Next is possession of THC. This citation carries a penalty of $439, 0 points. You don't understand what possession of THC is?
Yes, sir.
In addition to these, if you attend any, if you attend an alcohol and drug assessment class or any type of drug counseling or marijuana counseling, I'll reduce this forfeiture from $439 to $124.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the other one, ma'am, I'm having trouble hearing him, so please be quiet. The other citations are operating while under the influence and the companion ticket of prohibited alcohol concentration. The penalty for the OWI is as follows. It's an $861 forfeiture, 6 points, a 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation depending on your driving and your alcohol level, and an an alcohol and drug assessment requirement. In addition, if your blood alcohol content was a 1.5 or higher, I have to order an interlocking ignition device be installed and all vehicles registered in your name. Okay, with that, there is also a $50 surcharge on IID. And finally, if there was a blood draw, there's a $62.82 surcharge as well.
Okay.
Now, the penalties will be the same for the PAC, 861, 6 points, 6 to 9 month driver's license revocation, AODA, $50 surcharge on an IID, and a $62.82. However, I can find you guilty on both the PAC and the OWI, but I can only impose the penalties on one of those citations.
Okay.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions regarding these 4 citations?
No, sir.
Now's the time I take the plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 22nd. Chance to tell your side of the story, bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. In addition to that, the pretrial conferences are held downstairs in a conference room, our pretrial conferences. And finally, make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, city attorney will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty and impose all those penalties then.
All right.
Okay. I'll have the bailiff give you the pretrial conference notices. Again, we filled up on the 8th. We'll take it on the 22nd instead. With that, once you receive the notices, you're free to go.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Whoever was next. Name, please.
Oseguera Valadez.
Okay, how do you spell your last name?
Oceguera.
Jose. Oseguera, is that, did I say it correctly?
Valadez. They always get it mixed up
Okay,
with my middle name.
Jose Valadez. Okay.
Yeah. My middle name always gets mixed up, that's why.
I understand. Okay. Mr. Oseguera Valadez, do I have your correct address on Northport Drive in Madison?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
We're recording this, so if I make a mistake, we have to establish a clear record. So we have to kind of make sure that you answer all my questions out
Okay,
loud.
sir.
So, okay, you've received a citation for possession of THC as a forfeiture action. The citation carries a penalty of $439. You understand what possession of THC is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The forfeiture range on this is $50 to $1,000. $50 per cost is $124. My policy for these is if you take an alcohol or drug assessment or get marijuana counseling, what I do for that is I reduce the forfeiture from $439 down to $124. Yes?
I got a question. If I do the counseling, does that coming out of, like, I gotta assist and pay at the same time in there? Or, because I know they've done some before.
Okay. What I normally do is I give you 90 days to complete it.
Okay.
So, we don't cover that, but it has to be something that, that you pay for and attend. But if you do that and supply proof to us, the goal of mine is to basically make sure that people, if they get caught, get counseling. The reason why is that I want to make sure that this is the first time for most people in the court system, and if there's an issue, I'd rather work with them on that and give them an incentive to reduce the forfeiture then.
Okay.
My policy. Does that make it clear?
Yes, sir.
And what I can do, I give you a list of the suggested services. However, if you find your own counseling or assessment, I'm more than happy to accept that as well.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Now's the time I take the plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
Okay. You understand with no contest plea, I'll review the police report, and if there's a factual basis, I'll find you guilty.
Okay.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure that there's enough evidence to find you guilty. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. There is a factual basis. I will accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Are you interested in the counseling or assessment option?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you 90 days to complete that. And once you supply proof to the court, I will reduce your forfeiture from $439 to $124. If I don't receive proof within 90 days, I have to keep the fine at $439. So once you complete that, just submit that to the court, or whoever you do it through, submit that to the court. If you need additional time, just let me know that. Just let me or my assistant know that as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
All right, that'll take care of it this evening then. Thank you, Mr. Oseguera Valadez.
Thank you.
Save the best for last.
Jeannie Dunbar.
Oh, okay. Ms. Dunbar, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
Yes, you do.
All right. Two citations. First is operating after revocation or suspension of your registration. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 0 points. Ms. Dunbar, let me check the forfeiture range on this citation. It's $0 to $200 for that. The other one is operating after suspension. This citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your license. Again, the forfeiture range on this is also $0 to $200. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes.
Do you understand what operating after revocation or suspension of your registration as well?
Yes.
All right. Any questions for the court?
No.
Now's the time I take plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Okay. I paid for both of the.
Do you want to take a look at them right now, or do you want to schedule for pretrial conference?
Okay, so this is for the reinstatement. And that's for the license plates. That's for my snow ticket 2 years ago. This one's for the other side. That's where I had to apply for the reinstatement.
Okay. Your Honor, she's reinstated her license and updated her plates.
Okay. So normally on these, I would assume that you're going to dismiss the registration citation and then no driver's license in person for the operating under suspension.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Normally what the plea agreements on these, Ms. Dunbar, is that the registration citation would be dismissed. So, and then the, for the operating after suspension, tonight, if you want to resolve it tonight, I can't dismiss that citation, but I can reduce it to 0 points, which would be like no driver's license in person, like you left your driver's license at home.
Okay.
Still be 124, but it'd be 0 points.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Based upon the plea agreement between the city and Ms. Dunbar, I'll impose the following. I will go ahead and dismiss the operating after revocation or suspension of registration because defendant supplied proof to the city and city's motion. I'll amend the operating after suspension to what's called no driver's license on person, contrary to 343-18 subsection 1.
No contest.
Yep, no contest plea to that. Be 0 points, forfeiture of $124 for the no driver's license on person. Ms. Dunbar, can you pay for the $124 this evening?
I didn't even bring my checkbook.
I'll grant you, I'll grant you
Okay.
30 days, and I'll send you just all the citations. Are we going to be able to do the amendment, or we'll send it to you in the mail
Okay.
in the next few days.
All
And
right.
then what we can do is then send it to the mail, and then you can just bring that in, mail it in, or bring the receipt in to the police department, either
Okay.
way. So
Alrighty, thank you.
grant that. Any questions to the court?
No.
We'll send you a notice, and that will take care of it for this evening.
Okay, so I
All
get
right.
nothing here today?
No, nothing here.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Dunbar.
My name is Jonathan Chavez.
Chavez?
Yeah.
Chavez. I got it.
Chavez.
Oh, I know how to spell Chavez.
All right.
Chavez Ravine and Cesar Chavez. Do I have your correct address on Moraine View Drive in Madison?
Yeah.
All right. You also you received a citation for possession of THC. The citation carries a penalty of $439. You understand what possession of THC is?
Yes.
Okay. However, I know you've been in the courtroom, but I'll explain it to you as well.
Yeah.
For these citations for THC, I want to encourage people to take either counseling or an alcohol and drug assessment. So if you complete that within 90 days, I usually offer people, I'll reduce this to the minimum forfeiture of $124. Okay. You understand that my policy and the AODA?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for the court?
No.
Now is the time I take your plea. 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
No contest.
You understand? With no contest plea, I must find you guilty.
Okay.
Let me review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Are you interested in either getting counseling or the
Yeah,
alcohol
I'm
drugs?
interested.
Okay. Again, note the Madison address. If you find, I've got a list of suggested AODA and counseling, but if you find your own place, just submit that within 90 days.
All right.
And what I'll do is I'll reduce the forfeiture to $439 and $124. Please have whoever do it submit it, because if we don't get it, we don't know if you completed it or not.
Okay, then.
So, any questions?
Nope.
All right, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you.
We had double the number of people show up tonight with 5 ODBI. That's what took so long.
I had a group downstairs, so I think people
Yeah, I'm sure.
down there,
Okay,
so that's why you have too many stragglers.
okay.
Can do that for you.
So one of the confidential ones, they agreed to the truancy sentencing agreement. I offer that at court, but sometimes maybe you might be more persuasive than I am. So.
I
mean-
think with some of them, I think with the one kid, you didn't even get to it.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
That's right.
So for these no emergencies, are they reducing the forfeiture on these? Okay, that's fine. That's a good solution.
Yes.
I just find that there's a lot of people who don't know about these, and they they don't know the laws, and they're a little surprised at first ticket. So I always encourage people to learn about it and spread the word, so to speak.
Yes, I did, a woman come up here who had 2 citations and try to talk to you? Did she try to talk to you?
Yeah, and I
Oh.
told her the judge can't talk to her.
Okay, good.
Let it get scheduled for trial.
Which is what I told her.
Yeah. But She was not
So
a
sorry about
happy
that, Judge.
person.
Okay. What do I do? I third. Kim Zion. One had 5 citations. You probably want to just straighten it out. Is that why you need another pretrial date?
Yes, he went to the DMV today and it wasn't open because of weather, I think he said.
Okay.
So I just gave him another shot.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. One of these no parking I represented before, but I represented a few years ago, but the person did not appear.
Okay.
There it is. Was it last year I did the guy had we had a snow parking trial and I sentenced him to community service of just telling people how the ordinance worked for 10 hours?
That's what you did?
I
I think Susan handled that.
Okay. The police officer, Susan, we're all pleased with my decision on that. Just spread the word, police community service.
I have a couple of items.
Yeah.
We have an OWI represented by Attorney Gonzalez.
Okay.
And he's requesting you read that. It's for Justin Flesher. You haven't seen it yet.
What's the city's position on staying the sentence of a suspension while the case is pending? Oh, actually, you would have received a copy of this.
Our office was actually closed, Your Honor, today, so if I received it,
You didn't get it?
I didn't get it. If we received it, I didn't get it.
It's faxed today.
Yeah. Do you want to take a look at his motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I would. Thank you. Would you prefer a response via email?
You know, why don't we do that? Why don't we, I'll hold off making a decision tonight. The suspension was January 10th, and we received it today. Why don't you provide a response to both Attorney Gonzalez and I, and I'll take it under consideration. Just, I mean, this topic comes up in the judicial listserv, and I just want to, I've seen people eat both sides of it, so I want to, I've seen the Attorney Gonzalez response. Just provide me a response the next couple days. I'll take a look at it and make a decision. So.
We have another one. It was an absolute sobriety violation. That's what the outcome was, but she was to do an alcohol assessment, and she did not complete that. So there's nothing on there what the consequence will be, so I don't know. She was already suspended for 30 days, but I know it's a mandatory 3 months for absolute sobriety, but you amended it to underage drinking.
Temp period, underage drinking. Okay, provide proof by yesterday. For failing to complete the assessment by January 24th, I'm going to keep the underage drinking, but I'm going to suspend her for 90 days instead of 30 days. That way
She already had the 30 days, so.
an additional
add
60. Yep.
Okay.
In other words, she was required to complete the assessment and did not. And I think you heard me a little bit. I like to, for the assessments, this is a lot of defendants' entry point into the court system. I'm hoping that if some of them take assessments, there won't be any further alcohol or drug issues,
Okay.
is my goal. So,
Reality check.
yeah, basically. So if people say they're gonna do an assessment, that kind of violates my policies then. So
Okay.
you have to kind of suffer the consequences.
He did comply with
Oh,
the
good.
requirements of the pretrial agreement. Well, once we're off the record, if I can bring something up.
Sure.
I don't want it to be on TV. I don't know how.
Okay. Does Ms. Wilson need to be here for that?
Well, that's what for the OWIs, the PACs, we generally find them guilty, but have no penalties. There's a couple of times it has come up where you said that you're gonna dismiss the PAC, and they call me and say, well, what does this mean? She said it was dismissed, and you're saying I'm guilty of it. Should we get some?
Maybe we could update the
agreement?
forms. Just if you update the form, just say PAC dismissed, and I'll make sure that gets
So
dismissed.
you do want it dismissed?
Yeah, to
Because
me,
I thought legally we're not.
no, you can,
That's where I was.
if there's an OWI or PAC, if they dismiss one, you still can impose penalties on the other.
I see.
You don't have to find
So
them
they
guilty of
can
both.
be. That's where I misunderstood.
What they do on initial appearances, if they both show up, I'll find them guilty of both if they ever want to challenge it, or that's basically the difference. If they ever want to reopen it, they would have to reopen for both.
Okay.
Essentially, it's almost like a distinction without a difference, but, yeah, so we'll make sure that, just to kind of note that, no, we don't have to find them guilty of
Okay.
both then, so, okay. Anything else from the city?
Nothing further, Your
Anything
Honor.
else from Mary? Okay, court's adjourned, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Drive safe.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to talk about that open records? I didn't have a chance to call you back.